Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch a Movie. Mike here, and today I'm reviewing a movie that's been out for a while that when I heard about it, Ari Aster, Joaquin Phoenix, one of the best actors of our time, doing a horror comedy called Beau is Afraid it sounded great to me. It sounded right up my alley. It was one of my most anticipated movies. And then I saw the trailer for it, and then I saw what people were saying about it, and not to be one who lets people skew what they feel about movies. It's not that at all, but you know what type of movies you like. And when I saw what people were saying about this, I directly got that uh-oh feeling deep down in my tchotchkes. And that was long, bloated, full of itself. It doesn't even make sense. It's just trying to be highfalutin and slap some crap on the screen, and it doesn't really it's pointless. 3 hours of basically the director. And that's just one of my least favorite types of movies. Now you might say, hey, it's Ari Aster, what'd you expect? Ari Aster was 1 out of 2 for me. I thought Hereditary rocked the shit. I thought Midsommar turned into one of those movies for sure, but I thought halfway through it gave me one of the most anxiety inducing moments I've seen in movies in a long time. When those old people were jumping off those cliffs and bashing their heads and all that shit, I almost had a panic attack. And at that point, the movie still made sense. It was still going somewhere. It was when the fucking bear and people are fucking and all that stuff is going on, where I was just like, okay, you lost me, dude. But that being said, he's like 1.5 for 2, so I didn't expect that with this, but here we are. I was in college once for like 5 weeks. Surprised? Yeah, me too. And while I was there, I took one course. The only class I really liked while I was there was like a creative writing course. And he had us write a paper, probably the only college paper I ever officially wrote in my short time there. I went to a concert and met a girl and said, fuck it. And long story. But here's the thing. I wrote this. It was about religion. And he wanted to write our ideas on religion. So I went home and I just slapped some shit on the page, and turned it in. And to my shock, there was red all over it, obviously. And he wrote in giant red letters the words, "Your grammar is failing your ideas." Now, me being the fucking head case that I am, that we all can be sometimes, I've kind of taken that as almost a strange metaphor analogy for my entire life. Sometimes it feels like the dumb, bad, broken side of me fails the side of me that is, smart and cunning and good and ambitious. And that for some reason, I don't know why, that's always just stuck with me. And I give you Beau is Afraid, because that's this movie. It's not the grammar that's failing the ideas. It is this movie's need to, I'm not going to assume that I know what it is, but it's the movie's need to, who knows, it's too afraid to just be too straightforward, and then it won't be seen as enlightened and better than everyone, or make Ari Aster seem like the smartest person in the room if he just makes fucking sense from time to time, or what, I don't know. But there's several things just throughout this entire movie that just fail. What a special movie it is. This movie is absolutely heartbreaking, and it's beautifully shot the shit out of you with amazing and fresh ideas. And there's parts of this movie that are just the reasons that we watch movies, the reasons we fall in love with movies. Those things are all here, and it's all failed by this need to just, I feel like, be seen as smarter than everyone else. And they just slap a bunch of dumb shit on there. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but both sides are right in this. I feel like the movie is genius, and it's also a giant piece of shit at times. So let's talk about what Beau is Afraid is actually about first, which is actually a very simple plot, despite it slapping you in the face with the giant eccentric cock of art for 3 hours. It's a tragic and all too real character whose entire life has been depicted by guilt for the very person who broke his psyche in the first place. Ezra Miller. Just kidding. It's his mom. The entire movie is basically just a therapist session on LSD, where the therapist just goes, hey man, it's your mom. She sucks. And that's not meant to minimize the damage parents can do or any of the things Beau's going through. That shit is heartbreaking, and like I said, all too real. And to its credit, the movie has some amazing ways of painting that damage from angles you never thought of before. It really finds that place of fear and anxiety that accesses us so often, but that we can rarely access ourselves, and it makes a comfy home there. It asks some interesting questions, like, if these things we fear happen in our head 45,000 times a day, then haven't they already happened to us? And what's really the difference other than the effect they have playing out on the narrative that is our lives going forward? The one thing we do control and choose not to. For the fear of what's already happened in our heads. And that's the genius part of the movie. That's what it does so well. And add on that the amazing cinematography and film work and just ingenious ideas that Ari Aster and this crew has, and the amazing actors that get this across and then understand the material and what they're doing. And it's just, those moments are beautiful. They're amazing to watch, and the movie is emotional, and it hits you hard in the feels, and it breaks your heart over and over and over again, and it impresses you, and it makes you laugh, and it's just, there's so many amazing things about this movie in every single chapter of it. But they just, I've never seen a movie just fuck itself over this much. I just don't understand the point of them going so far to make this movie so inaccessible. It's like pissing down your own leg. I mean, that's just what they do with this movie at times. All these ingenious ideas, all this wonderful filmmaking, and yet they want to be annoying. They're like, no, it's not going to look that as special and smart, and we're not going to be looking down at everybody if we're looking at them eye to eye. So we got to put all this unnecessary bullshit in it. Spread out the looks like spread out the running time as long as possible. Put just excruciating 10 and 15-second pauses before one character responds to the other character over and over and over again. Make us watch a character walk an entire flight of stairs pointlessly instead of just putting him upstairs like any other rational movie would do, taking a subplot that never adds anything to any bit of the movie just to confuse people, because if they understand what you're trying to get across on the first watch, you must not be smarter than them. And that's just, I don't know if that's the point. Again, I'm not going to pretend to know. Maybe it's way less nefarious than that. But I think if we're looking deep down in people, I think we have to look at people who feel the need to make their art so inaccessible so that they can feel better than everybody beneath them. And it's not that hard to figure out. I can understand everything that's happening here. I can be impressed by everything that you're doing here, and I am. But when you just veer off for no good fucking reason, it's the same thing. It's just bad writing. It's bad writing when a movie with a plot doesn't tie its plot together here or there, or veers off just to keep you off the nose of this. They're things that in other movies that aren't A24, that aren't these eccentric films, that we actually judge them appropriately for. But here in these movies, we just go, nah, God works in mysterious ways. You might as well say that. And for people who don't like it, who go, that was bullshit, the same old response of, oh, well, you just didn't get it. I'm going to take my leather fucking fedora back to the house and light some patchouli while I read fucking Mrs. Butterworth. I don't know. That last part made no sense, but I'm leaving it in. But yeah, it's more frustrating when you actually like the material and you like the movie and you like what the movie's trying to say. It's so frustrating that they do this to themselves. And Joaquin Phoenix said it himself. He's like, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, I didn't know what the fuck. When I read it, I just had no idea, basically. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. So, and then Ari Aster's like, it's actually way too straightforward in my opinion. It's like, all right, dude, Jesus, we get it already. And here's the thing. It's the running time more than anything else. It really is. More than anything else, it's the running time. I can understand why this strange ass thing happened here, or why this weird ass thing happened here. And I like how weird it is. Like, I like the weirdness of it. I like the shockingness of these scenes that happened. There's giant swaths of it you could have just ripped right out of it. I mean, I could have gone in there like your mom when like you didn't clean your room right, and she's like, let me show you how it's done, and just goes in there and starts throwing shit out. Like, that is exactly what an editor could do with this movie. You could take so much dumb shit out of this that didn't add to the plot at all and make this thing 2 hours. I could go below. I could make this 1 hour and 25 minutes. I swear to God I could. Let me in that fucking editing booth. When I go into Mark Wahlberg, let me in your fucking house. Let me in that fucking editing booth. I swear to God. But seriously, like, let me in that editing booth, and I bet you put this movie out at 1 hour and 45 minutes, and it's blows everyone's minds. More people have access to it. More people want to watch it. More people can enjoy it. You can go back and rewatch it. There's things here I would love to go back and watch and like pick apart and really pay attention to. And I won't do it. I won't ever watch this movie again because I don't have 3 hours of sadness in my fucking life to sit through. Sure, it made me laugh a couple times. Sure, I was impressed by it a couple times. But all in all, it just made me fucking sad and it ripped my heart out. And that's the point of the movie. But nobody wants to experience that at 3 hour clips. Thank God I didn't go see this in the fucking movie theater. I might not have made it out. I might have choked myself to death with fucking popcorn. I'm more angry that it's so fucking good. Like, it's so fucking good. And they just they did what Tommy Boy did with the biscuit.
And then I take my naughty pet and I go. Oh!
In the name of making it fucking to everybody else. Or just be weird shit fucks. Some highlights of the film going into spoilers. By the way, I give the movie a 7.5 out of 10. There's shit in this movie that was just an absolute 11. You know, there was moments in this movie that just blew me the fuck away, or made me laugh, or were just really heartfelt and really well done, and really just goddamn grab that weird part of your psyche that we all do, that we all have, whether it's anxiety or it's parental issues or whatever, and just really put them on LSD and show them to you in a brand new way. And it was beautiful. There's stuff in this movie that's really, really special, and there's some of it that's just a hot bag of farts. And that's why it's a 7.5 out of 10 instead of an 11. Certain points that I found fascinatingly interesting was the dad is a giant. We're going into spoilers here. The dad in the attic is a giant cock. He's a huge penis. And it's so funny. Like, I hope that they're making fun of themselves with this shit. I really do, because, like, you know how in movies like Hereditary, it's like, well, you know what it's going to end like, right? It's going to end with an old man and his cock hanging out in an attic somewhere. And lo and behold, this movie does too. Only he's like, no, we got to go further. I can't just do the old man in the attic with the cock again. It's got to be an actual cock. And like, I don't mind shit like this. I was like, that's hilarious, man. That's so fucked up and hilarious. And I admire your balls, so to speak. But you can look at it from multiple different angles, and this is the kind of shit I really don't mind. This stuff I find interesting. I think the attic was basically where she puts useless things, and as soon as the dad gave her a child, he was useless to her. So she was lying about it. The dad didn't die when he ejaculated the first time, and you know he was in the attic along with, was it his twin brother? I don't know, but possibly, or maybe just the side of him that was rebellious, that he maybe needed to survive. Maybe he needed his dad in his life to survive and not become this person he was. And these are things that she put in this attic. Was it real or not? Who knows? There's a lot of stuff to divulge through there, but I think that it was just an attic for these useless things, like his rebellious side and or his rebellious twin brother, who was not going to just go with her every whim for the rest of her life. And the dad, once he had, you know, given her what she needed. Because think about it, the story she made up about he died. It is so fucked up that she's saying this to a kid. And he's like, he died while inside of me still. Mm-hmm. Yeah, now finish your pancakes. But that whole thing. So that's my take on that. But I'm sure there's several different ones. The scene that with the girl eating the paint fucked me up, man. That was gnarly. And it reminded me, weirdly, the dead bodies in this remind me of Mission Impossible 3, where that thing goes off in her head and all of a sudden she's just like, I always thought that was really just fucked up and a gnarly thing to just throw in the middle of a Mission Impossible movie like that. And that's kind of what Ari Aster's dead bodies look like here. But when that girl goes and chugs the paint and it's just like, and then like you see her dead body, it was really fucking gnarly. And it reminded me of both the head on the post in Hereditary, and no, just the ants all over the headless head, the bodiless head in the street. It was that gnarly to see. And then when they're having sex, and basically it's a moment from Scary Movie, because I know we all thought of that, because he's told his whole life he can't have sex, or if he'll ejaculate he dies because of a heart murmur, which is just fucking batshit. But honestly, that's one of those things that's so genius, because the things our parents instill in us, as dumb as they can be, really, really stick with us, which, you know, you see it in these middle schoolers that have like fucking insane hardcore political beliefs. Like the echo chamber that you grow up in really fucks with you. And in his case, especially with her. But so he's never had sex, and he's got these gigantic balls because he's never had sex because his mom told him he couldn't. So he thinks he's going to die while he's having sex with Parker Posey of all people, who was great in the movie. She was awesome. Everybody in the movie was fucking fantastic for sure. But when he finally does, and she's the one that's frozen and dies, like, again, I'm not fucking sure what was going on there, to be honest with you. It's just one of those things that just take it at face value, whatever. It's weird as fuck, so let's do it, man. It'll trip people up, I guess. But she freezes and dies, and then the way her eye looks, I was like, that's got me all fucked up. And when they carried her out, and they just carried her out like a piece of fucking furniture, that shit was wild. But they just make these giant sweeping things that they do to us. and when it goes nowhere, you just feel like your time's been wasted. And a lot of times in this movie, you just really feel like they're wasting your time to tell you how fucking smart they are. And it's frustrating. You know, it's really frustrating. The opening act of the movie was so good. That just depicted anxiety and loneliness so fucking well when he's walking through the streets and everybody's either an insane killer with a pickaxe or just a fucking nutbag. And really, like, it's one of those things that's anxiety. Like, it's real, but it's also not real. You're making it way fucking worse, but it's also real. Like, you know, like those things could happen to you, but you're making it way worse in your head. And just, they depicted that so geniusly. Geniusly is not a fucking word, Mike, but they really did depict that in an amazing way. But again, just there's so much weird fuck shit in there. It just, I think it takes away from the point. You know, I just think they just overindulge on some of that shit sometimes. But genius moments like the spider, you know, him seeing the spider, and then automatically as soon as he sees that thing, you can see his face go, God damn it. And like, the spider's in his apartment because that's the way you see things when you have anxieties about stuff. And it's just geniusly made. God damn it, I used that word a fucking again. But just like one of my favorite parts was, because I have medical anxiety myself, so I really dug into some of that stuff there, and I was like, wow, that's amazing how they did that. But when the therapist is just like simply like, hey, make sure you take the pills with water. And like, when you have medical anxiety, you hear things like that, and you just think, instead of just like, hey, duh, take the pill with water, you can think like, if I don't take the pills with water, I'm going to dehydrate and fucking die. It makes sense. And then of course your brain pushes you in that direction and things like that start to happen. And it was just geniusly and amazingly done. And I won't even get into the mom stuff because I think it's so specific, but the way they handled that and like the guilt aspect of your parents and stuff is so genius as well. Just absolutely amazing shit. And also, the whole thing at the how fucking gnarly was that shooting scene where that guy showed up and started killing everybody? That was just twisted, man, especially for the time we're in. I'm not like saying they should, I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying it was, whew, that was tough to watch. And then when he ends up shooting himself, that part was actually funny. But the play when he goes off and it's like, hey, you cut these chains that have held you down forever, and then you go off and you live your own life and you find your own place in the world. I just thought that was all beautifully put together. And then when his family gets ripped away from him, you feel that in your gut. And I think that's one of those twisted things about anxiety, you know what I mean, as well. Like, as soon as you get everything you want, you just start fearing it being ripped away. And then when it all lands with, oh, by the way, you never had this because you never had kids because you listened to your mom, just really fucked up and genius writing. And just, it's sad that like all the dumb shit this movie does just to try to be quirky and just really just bloat the time. And really the end, by the time when he gets there and he's in that arena being judged by everybody, it's just like, guys, this is literally the definition of beating a horse to death. Let's do that. Let's bring out a horse and just beat it to fucking death for 25 minutes. You'll get some extra running time out of it, and we'll continue to just literally beat the horse to fucking death. And then we'll end it and blow your fucking mind. And that shot when the boat blows up and he goes flying out was so goddamn good and cool. And it just left me thinking, man, if you would have done shit like this and just like honed it instead of just bloating it with all this shit, this movie could have been a fucking all-time great. So that's how I feel about Beau Was Afraid, and I'm sure it's going to piss off both sides. But I thought it was a genius work of art that just fucking shot itself in the foot trying to be too fancy. And that's how I feel. Comment down below with your thoughts. Please be gentle. Please be gentle. I love your fucking faces. I hope you guys have an amazing day.
Hello, listener. Do you like scary movies? What's your favorite scary movie? Well, Jay and Mike like scary movies too. You should go and subscribe to their podcast, We Watched a Movie. Because if you don't, I'll gut you like a... Well, I think you get the idea. Enjoy yourselves while you still can.